Hey guys, welcome to the I Hope to Hear This podcast. We have a third time visitor, Mr. Ben Chong. What's up, Ben?
Hey man, thanks for
Man,
having me on again.
no, thank you for being on. For those of you who missed it, his first appearance was on the Zealand episode because Ben is a drummer for Zealand, and we had him on separately as a uh, solo guest second time just to have a chat about kind of his passion with music. And today we're talking with Ben because if you guys hadn't noticed, we had a sweet new intro today. The original intro that I had is actually just one of those stock. Is that the right term? Stock music?
Probably, yeah,
Yeah,
star.
yeah, from Anchor, the platform that I use. So it wasn't customized or anything. It was literally I just kind of went through the list and said, "Oh, this sounds all right," and I chose it. So it didn't really ever have that customized me feel. And I actually alluded to this back in January when I did the recap of 2019 that I was working with someone on getting new theme music, and now I can reveal to you that that person was Ben, and we've been kind of talking, and he's been helping me. Oh, well, I mean, helping is an understatement because he created the whole thing. So thank you for the intro. But before we get into kind of your process and your music creation, uh, just I guess process is the right word. I wanted to talk to you about kind of how you're doing now because we chatted a little bit before we started recording, and man, you're going through a lot of things that I was like completely unaware of, and I apologize for that. But yeah, if we can kind of just talk about how you're doing during these unprecedented times with COVID-19, especially because I didn't know this, but physical therapists, right? You guys, your work is considered essential, and you guys are actually a lot more involved in combating this disease than I thought. So could you kind of just walk us through how you've been doing?
Yeah, it's been a crazy month for
Mm,
me. Just a lot of processing, through myself, my family, my work situation, and um, yeah, it's been pretty stressful. I'm not gonna lie. It's been tough to kind of handle everything that's going on with, because I didn't know as much as you did, like that physical therapy was essential, especially the line of work that I'm doing is definitely necessary, but I didn't see that before because when all this kind of happened about a month ago, it's been no one, not even researchers or scientists, still don't know really what the pattern is like. There's no
mhm.
vaccine yet. So yeah, all of this unknown just kind of throws a lot of fear, and so it's been pretty stressful. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, a lot of people kind of passed over physical therapy, and me myself included is, I mean, didn't know how much of COVID-19 I was going to be exposed to.
Yeah.
So
Especially for you, because as a physical therapist, you're not just always at a hospital, right? You're actually going to your patients' homes and helping them through physical
yeah,
therapy there, right? So what's that
yeah.
been like?
So um, man, it's pretty scary because
Mhm.
you don't know what you're walking into. You don't know where the person's been, what family members are walking in and out of the doors, or you know, what diseases, and not even COVID-19. This is
Right.
just going into someone's home environment without you knowing is pretty scary. And But I will say, as much as I'm scared, I can only imagine how scared the patient is too. Just having a stranger just come into their home. And so yeah, there's obviously different settings for physical therapy. There's, the the typical outpatient clinic, where if you have like a shoulder injury, you can go to a clinic. I think those actually, never mind. I think that's still essential too. But the line of physical therapy that I'm doing is going into people's homes. And basically, when people leave the hospital, they either go, to a rehab center, and most of them usually go home. And, most people have the notion that once people leave the hospital, people are better, but that's not necessarily the case. Most people who get home are still struggling from whatever. I think hospitals, their protocol is get patients out as soon as possible because hospitals are at increased risk for infection,
Right.
too. So they just want to get people home. So that doesn't necessarily mean they're 100% better. So who are the people treating them when they go home? And it's home care. It's nurses, PTs, OTs, home health aides, and all the above. And we're going in and basically helping them out with whatever they need.
Wow.
So with with the whole COVID-19 cases, I know the majority of the highlight is over doctors and nurses because they were the actual frontline workers, literally battling this whole pandemic and this whole craze. But then, what happens after? What happens when a COVID-19?
Sorry, guys. We had kind of a spotty connection there. We had to restart the recording, but so yeah, Ben, you were talking about how kind of the frontline workers are considered, the nurses and the doctors actually treating the COVID patients, but there is a handoff that happens when they are discharged from the hospitals. And if you want to take it off,
Yeah, yeah. So I think primary care includes, all the medical doctors, whether it's, the pulmonologist, which is the lung doctor,
Mhm.
the kidney doctor, everyone who needs to see the patient too. And then you obviously have the nurses. But I think, when you talk about overall movement and getting up and walking, I think that's when physical therapists come in too. And I think respiratory therapists too, which is not really related to PTs, but um, they're also ones in the whole care process for the patient too. And so when COVID-19 patients get discharged, it's not like they're 100% ready to go again. Most likely they'll have some underlying conditions that are still lingering from, the whole effects of what COVID-19 does to someone's body. And who are going to be the ones that take care of them? And it's most likely going to be the home health care team. And so I've already been exposed to two patients specifically.
Wow.
I don't know if I mentioned that before, but it's been it's been pretty stressful. It's been pretty scary, but uh, luckily I have the equipment to treat these patients safely and properly.
Yeah. So for the two COVID patients that you are visiting, are they requiring PT, physical therapy, because like as a result of recovering from COVID, or is that kind of a separate thing where they just need physical therapy, but they also happen to be recovering from COVID-19?
Yeah, think I think the most severe cases that have happened are the patients that are being intubated, which means they're being placed on ventilators. They're most likely being sedated. Um, And surprisingly, both of my patients have been on ventilators for about 2 weeks now. And that's just them
Oh,
doing nothing, just,
mm,
most likely out, sedated, and just completely, bedridden for
mm,
2 weeks. And I mean, 2 weeks is a really long time of you not moving at all. And so, what most likely happens is you forget, you get a lot weaker, you forget how to walk, you forget how to just move around, just basic things. And the two patients that I've seen, um, the most common thing that I've seen is they're short of breath, um, doing simple things like standing up at a sink or cooking, cleaning, even just bending over to tie their shoes or something. So that's been the number one common thing. The second thing is their legs just feel really weak. So it's just the residual effects of not doing anything for 2 weeks, being on a ventilator, being sedated, and just being bedridden. Um, that does a whole bunch to your body detrimentally. So that's where we come in and just kind of um, help them with their endurance, strengthening, to just teaching them how to basically walk again without falling, um, and just giving them confidence. And I think that's the hardest part, is when someone returns home, whether they're a COVID patient or not, after a long bout of being in the hospital, it's always hard for them to get in their home environment, because they see their home environment and they think in their head that they can do everything that they used to do. But since they've been out for so long and they're just drained of energy, they're weak, they're short of breath. That's where physical therapists, especially home health PTs, that's where we can come in and just gradually expose them to basically their normal life.
right. And I'm sure there's a lot of frustration involved with their mind thinking, I used to do this all the time. It shouldn't be an issue, but their body not really cooperating because the deterioration of the strength and energy, right?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like a lot of my job too is just coaching to basically saying, you're doing okay, you're doing fine. You've only been home for whatever amount of days. Just give it time, give it patience, and that's the 10% of physical therapy that um, I I enjoy most, is the actual motivation part of it, besides the actual what I went to school for,
Right.
basically. So um, it's been it's been good to give them hope, but at the same time, it's like it's pretty scary.
Yeah. No, especially because, when this whole COVID-19 thing broke out, for nurses and doctors, they probably almost immediately realized that, well, whatever way this thing pans out, I'm going to have to be involved, right? But like you were saying, you don't really think PTs are going to be necessary in the recovery process for these patients. But so how did that kind of impact you mentally, right? Thinking, not really thinking that you would have to be on the front line, but immediately finding yourself in the front line. Did that have any
Yeah,
sort of mental toll on you or anything?
yeah, definitely. I was definitely alluding to how I've been feeling, and it's just fear. You don't
Mm,
you don't know who has it. You don't know if you have it once you leave someone's house. You don't know who you're going to spread it to. So, I mean, to put it simply, I've been scared. I mean, it's gotten better uh, now that I've actually had the exposure to it. But in the beginning, it was really scary. And Um, Going back to it earlier when we were talking about, I didn't know PT was essential, and I was expecting my company to shut down,
Mm.
because most of my patient population is um, the elderly, the the people with underlying medical conditions, high risk people, basically. And um, I thought we were going to shut down, and I was expecting them to, but essentially they were doing the opposite, meaning we were actually treating the COVID-19 patients. And I was really frustrated. I was really angry. Um, I kept thinking to myself, why are we still going out? Why are we still, putting our lives at risk? And if not, why are we putting other people's lives at risk? And I was just real frustrated, thinking this is all for money. This is all, just corrupt. And um, I was just really angry, just really frustrated with my company, and it didn't switch my mindset until my boss was actually going out too. And when
Mm.
I saw my boss going out, I figured like maybe it's a lot more. I think people, when they initially sense any kind of fear, um, a lot of people tend to turn away, which I include myself too. But then I think, if anything, my mindset was I was introduced to this fear. I wanted to run away, but I was almost forced to face it head on, which I'm doing exactly. I mean, I 100% don't have it as bad as the actual frontline workers who are, you know, are face to face with active COVID-19 patients, but it's still, I mean, really scary.
Oh, for sure.
So I'm I'm doing a lot better now, but if you would ask me like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I was a mess and just wasn't happy at
Mm.
all, very scared too. So I mean, um, I'm currently living in my basement. My parents are upstairs, and I haven't been in contact with them since about a month, and they've been feeding me dinner through through the store here. They just bring me a little plate, and then I enter through a different way. I exit through a different way, um, and it's been tough just to kind of just keep everyone safe,
Mm.
keep everyone sane. But
Yeah.
I mean, thank God that I've been okay. I've been
Yeah.
safe. I have the necessary equipment. Um, so I just, I'm praying and hoping that the frontline workers who have it worse than I do, I hope they're staying safe, and I hope, um, yeah, I just hope this whole thing comes to a resolve, because, yeah, is
Yeah.
I can just sense a lot of fear. Yeah.
Yeah. And there are two things that I can really feel for you on. One thing is when the whole lockdown quarantine issue came down, the first thing me and my wife said to each other is, I'm so glad we're married, because having to go into lockdown or quarantine while we were dating, it would have been so hard, because, it pretty much throws you into kind of a long distance type of relationship, right? Where even if you do meet with each other, there's social distancing that you have to adhere to. And especially for your situation, like you can't even see your parents and you're in the same house, but to like meet up with your girlfriend and things like that, that would be very difficult. And the second thing is, I remember when I met my niece for the first time, I remember how deeply I fell in love with her. You know, um, yeah, like having a siblings, being able to like love on a sibling's child, it's like a very new thing, right? And so you fall into both those categories. You have a girlfriend, and you have a nephew, who's what, not even, is he 6 months
Seven
old?
months.
7 months, yeah.
7 months.
Yeah, so not being able to see your girlfriend that often, and I imagine you can virtually not even see your nephew at all, right? Like that.
Yeah.
How's that? That must be so tough. I can only imagine.
Yeah, man, it is tough. Jess and I were joking around, and we're just saying, what's the first thing you want to do when, all of this is crazy?
Yeah.
And Jess goes, I just want to touch you. We just want to like hug each other and,
Mm,
just be in close proximity with each other. If not virtually, obviously we have the FaceTime and the Zoom. So, but it's not the same thing, man.
for sure.
And I think, I think both of us just had it probably about the third weekend, and then I just it was like, let's just see each other, but we'll make sure we'll keep our distance. So I've actually gone to see her. I made sure it was outside, and then we went fishing. I probably think that's like probably the safest way. So we're trying to make ends meet and
Mm,
still keeping our relationship alive,
mm,
but just trying to follow the guidelines and protocols and stuff. So we make do.
mm.
We try our best to keep our relationship even with you know turmoil.
Right. And how was it not being able to see your nephew? Because having a 10-month-old myself, I know how fast they're growing, and like every day you don't see
Yeah.
them, you're missing out.
Yeah, it's been tough, because when you see a baby, all you just want to do is like hold them, and um, it's been tough not to be able to, um, yeah, even hold him and be in close proximity with him. And have you seen those Instagram videos where they bring a newborn baby to their grandma's and they show them through the outside window and things? That's been like me too, except uh I'm just doing it just for their safety. And um yeah, it's been tough.
Yeah.
It's been pretty tough.
Man, I'm really glad we had this conversation, because coming into it, literally right up until we started recording, I thought this conversation was just more going to be about the intro music that you made for me. But I'm so
Yeah.
glad to hear what you're going through. First, because I had no idea, and now I know we can pray for you. We can help, whatever ways we can try to support you. Just because, like you, I don't want to downplay the importance of like the healthcare providers that are, doctors and nurses treating the COVID patients. But I also don't want to lose sight of the important work that you're doing, and the personal sacrifices that you're having to make, as a PT. So if you didn't know about it, I'm sure there are so many other people out there who have no idea the important work that, PTs, especially what do you call it, the home care PTs?
Yeah, home care.
Yeah,
Um, you have the home health nurses, you have home health occupational therapists, you have home health respiratory therapists, you have home health aides, then you have the caregivers that are
yeah,
taking care of, there's a whole line that, deserves a little bit more, um, I guess a little bit more highlight,
yeah,
because, they're they're kind of like the backbones of patients. And yeah, it's kind of like a whole different side of what we see that's going on in the media. And um, I didn't, yeah, like you said, I didn't know either. So it's been eye opening, but it's been uh, a good experience, I think.
yeah. Man, we're definitely going to be praying for you, and I hope you reach out to people, whenever you need help, or whenever you need anything. I mean, I guess I'm talking personally now, but yeah, if you ever need anything, bro, just let me know. I would love to support and help in any way that I can. And again, I actually
Yeah, I
do want
appreciate
to
it, man.
apologize for and having no idea that you were going through all this. And because I know when this first broke out, we did have a conversation about you saying, "Oh yeah, I'm still working," and it is kind of tough because I don't know whose houses we're going into or not. But yeah, man, I didn't know that it was to this level. So yeah, thank you for all that you're doing. And so are you just? Can we see around your basement a little bit here? Like this is where you're living
Of
now?
course. Yeah, of course. Let me pull out my video real quick. So luckily, we have basically this is when you walk into the house. This is basically the main level. You don't have to go up any
Hmm.
stairs. So we have um, this door, which is the alleyway to the main bedroom and
Hmm.
kitchen. And then that door there is the garage. So that's where my parents are coming through. And then there's stairs there. They'll come drop off food basically at right there where this bag is. And then I make sure to keep that close just to remind them. And then I have basically a bar pretty much here. Got the coffee there. And then so I have food
Hmm.
here, water, snacks, water, and then got entertainment, TV, switch, couch to
Nice.
sit on, and then my little workstation area. And then this is the door that I go through.
To the
Um,
outside.
I have yeah, and then I have wipes there, so can disinfect every time I come in. And then my bedroom is through this way,
Wow.
and then got my bathroom in there. So yeah, pretty neat setup. Luckily,
Yeah.
oops. And then yeah,
Wow. But I mean, I'm sure it's not as comfortable as just being in the main part of the house and being, where you're normally at, right?
yeah, it sucks because like when they're laughing upstairs, like I'm like man, like I wonder. I wish I could just join them,
Yeah.
but I mean we'll still have conversations. We'll go on walks every now and then just to make sure we keep our distance too.
Hmm.
So man, yeah, there's a lot that's been happening within the past month, but I think I'm getting used to it.
Yeah. So then let me ask you, this might be a controversial question because there's a lot of talk from both sides of the issue here. But Governor Kemp, the governor of Georgia, he actually said that he wants to start reopening the economy starting, well, when people are listening to this, it would have already happened this Friday, right? So if you're listening to this on Saturday when it's released, yesterday, I think uh, restaurants, like hair salons, like there are parts of businesses that are starting to open and more are going to start opening on Monday and things like that. Do you have an opinion, like as a PT, as the, I mean, I consider you frontline health worker. Do you have an opinion about that?
Yeah, I think it's way too soon, man.
Mm,
I think it's way too early. I think it's eager for the governor to make those claims and statements. Um, and yeah, I mean, I look at the numbers every day, how many cases there are and how many deaths, and it keeps rising. And um, I mainly disagree because I think we haven't reached the peak yet um, as of today.
right.
And I think I think it would make more sense if we started to see a decline, and I mean a drastic decline. And he, you know, put out those orders. But and if you look at the list that he specifically put out, besides maybe gyms, a lot of those are close contact things, like, whether it's hair cutting places, nail salons, beauty supplies shops, and even bowling alleys too, and even gyms. He even put out, like, saying, even though we're opening these things, there's still going to be strict guidelines. But I mean, I'm driving out on the road every day, and there's still so many people out. And I just think it's way too early. And for me to say that as a healthcare worker, I think it saves them from, or reversing back, I think we can't overload our hospital and healthcare system.
Yeah.
And I think that's been happening because, people aren't social distancing as much as they need to. People aren't following necessary guidelines. And I think it's overloading healthcare systems, and I think it's going to be worse, in my opinion. And I think people are so eager to go out, and I think it's going to give them an excuse to go out. And I think there's going to be more positive cases that are going to happen. So, I told my parents initially, because they probably don't understand as well. But I think if you do listen to this and you do planning on going out, I would stay home even more. Just because, I think we're at our peak right now. I don't think we even hit our peak yet. So I just think it's way too early.
Yeah, and I'm glad you added that, especially because our parents are immigrants that might not. I mean, I know your parents are pretty good with English, but just first generation immigrants, they tend to be less in the know of what's kind of happening in the news cycle and things like that. So our parents might not really know as much as we do. So I think it's important that whatever we do know, we make it a point to relate to our parents, to let them know, to educate them. Because I know one big thing is Governor Kemp was talking about reopening churches. And church for Korean Americans in Atlanta, Georgia, is a huge part of their lives, right? A lot of our parents, most of their social contact, their social circles are within churches. So yeah, if we don't really let them know some of the risks that are attached to going to big, fellowship gatherings and things like that right now, then they probably won't know at all. So I think it's important to educate our parents as much as we can. If you're listening and you have parents that are first generation, please let them know some of these things.
Yeah, touche.
Yeah. And I know I kind of wanted to talk about that because I don't know if the mic is catching this. Right outside my window, I'm on the third floor, but on the outside you can hear people like yelling.
I can hear it.
Yeah. Those are neighbors outside arguing. They're talking about whether Governor Kemp made the right call or not. And I wish there's something I could do to quiet them down, but they're like yelling and loudly discussing their opinions and thoughts. So I know it's at the forefront of many Georgia residents. So I wanted to get your opinion of that.
I mean, sorry. I definitely see the other side of it too, of going back to your recent release of the local 1200 challenge. Some people's lives are solely based on their businesses, and I can see that. But at which point are you crossing the line between, I don't know, livelihood versus money,
Right.
and it's a tricky situation to be in.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't claim to know what the actual, because I have been reading for, there are rural areas in the country where the number of cases is very low. There are some counties that have maybe one case of coronavirus, and they're being locked down. And their argument is, we don't really even have corona here, and our rural community, we're seeing upwards of 70% unemployment, people who have absolutely no income. We need a way to survive. So I can definitely sympathize with people in those situations. But I think, at least for us, specifically in Atlanta, Georgia, in the suburbs of Atlanta, Georgia, we definitely have a lot of cases. We have to be very careful. We can't take the virus lightly. And yeah, and thanks for bringing up the the local 1200 challenge, because um, my solution to this tricky situation was, well, if these people are suffering financially, why don't I try to help them in any way that I can to alleviate their pains, so that their need, their desire to reopen the economy can be alleviated a little bit. Obviously, I mean, I can't do, it's not gonna, be a cure all, but in every little way we can, I think we should be looking to helping support our neighbors, in our community. Yeah. So yeah, if you don't mind, Ben, I actually wanted to shift gears a little bit, or actually shift gears wholly, to the topic of the intro music. I'm very, very excited about it, because the way that you have it set up, it actually gives me more room to talk about the content of the episode, because all previous episodes is literally just me saying, "Hey guys, welcome to this episode, and this episode's title is this," and that was it. But now I can get more of a synopsis of what we talk about, and things like that. So thank you for that. And I remember when we first talked about this, we sat down together. You let me listen to a bunch of different music samples to get a feel for what type of intro I wanted. So it's highly customized. The sound that you made is really what I wanted, and I'm sure that was because we were able to sit down and talk about like what I liked, what I didn't like, and things like that. And there was a lot of back and forth. It wasn't like you just said, "Oh, okay, I think I know what you want," and you just disappeared, and then you came out with the sound. We actually had a lot of, "Hey, I worked on this. How does this sound?" And I would give you feedback, and you would say, "Okay, cool." And it was a very collaborative process, right? So I wanted to get kind of your, if we could get a insider's look in your process of music creation, and how you kind of go about doing it, and yeah, all of that.
Yeah. I remember that day too. Um, I that was a good meetup day because I think I learned a little bit about you as well. Um, I think, yeah, music is a very powerful tool to get into somebody's liking and in their minds, and what they're all about, what kind of energy and vibrations they give off. Um, so I remember that day where I was just basically just trying to find what my mindset was, what kind of style, what kind of, not even just genre type, it was just more of what energy is he giving off as a person, and what um, is he clinging towards when I was scrolling through the different samples too. So it was a necessary process for me to just kind of know what direction I was headed towards. So um, once I got a good feel of what you were trying to go for, I remember just listening to a lot of your podcasts. I needed to get a good idea of what style of music I needed to kind of create based on what themes were going on in your podcast through a couple episodes, or what kind of messages you're giving off, and just the whole vibe of I hope they hear this podcast. And so I felt like I get a good idea of that. And um, then came just, I remember I made 7 samples and I sent them all to you, just like little 15-second samples. And I said, please choose top 3. And you sent me back the 3. And then from there, I really, really honed in of how I could customize the sound for your liking. And basically, when I was producing the song, I wanted to capture the energy that you give off as a person, which is very jolly. It's very what do you call it? Witty, I would say. It's very just jovial, and but at the same time, you've had episodes where you've gone to a lot of deep stuff with people too. So I wanted to create something that captured all those emotions in one song. And for me, when I approach a song and when I try to produce it, it all depends on the sound. So it was just hours and hours of me just scrolling through sounds and trying to pick a good sound, a good melody too. And I came across that sound, and then came like a process of, okay, what key should I? So it was just an extensive process. And then I remember I sent it to you, and then you're like, I like these 2, and we narrowed it down to basically 2. And then I would just went full force with it. I think I spent like at least 2 months on it, and then yeah, it was a pretty extensive process, but I think yeah, we did it.
Yeah. No, and the thing I really like about it is that because you solicited my opinion and my feedback so often, the sound wasn't just one of those things where, oh, I got this song from somebody who had it on his shelf. It really does feel like a part of me is in the song, and like I can really relate to it, and all the emotions that you were talking about, like still trying to convey like that jovial sense, but also like some of the times that we get pretty deep, like
Yeah.
actually in the beginning of this podcast, that was really deep stuff that we were talking about. So yeah, I love that I got to work with you on it. And I'm going to give you, I mean, hey, are you taking new customers or new
Of
clients?
course.
Yeah, let me give you a plug then. Guys, this guy knows what he's doing. He's super, super nice, super easy to work with. And he did all this while he was going through everything with COVID-19. So, I mean, gosh, if I knew, I would have definitely, said, don't even worry about it for another month or so. But sorry, I didn't do that.
That's okay.
But yeah, so just kind of the level of dedication this guy has, it's great. So guys, if you need new intro music for your podcast or just any music at all, this guy, great producer. So please reach out to him. And let's give a shout out to Daniel Pay as well, because he makes a sneaky little
Yeah.
cameo in the intro.
Yeah. So I guess to go a little bit more in the song, most producers or beat makers, there's actually a big difference. A producer isn't just a beat maker. I think a good producer will create something and know what parts to put it in based on what the consumer or the the person is wanting. And so when I created the song, I was like, man, something's missing. It needs that live instrumentation. It needs something live, whether it's a live piano or something acoustic guitar. And then Daniel Pay, aka Payday, him and I have a very, very similar attraction towards a certain type of sound. And I know he's very detailed and syncopated as I am. So all I did was just take a snippet of the song and I just sent it to him, and I was like, just do you. And I think it took him like an hour for him to send it back to me. And I was like, this is it. And I kid you not, he sent me a message back saying like, hey, I sent it. Hope you like it. I made it a little bit more witty. And so that's how I knew we're on the same page.
Wow.
So yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah.
Very good at guitar too.
Yeah. You know what's funny? He is the one member of Zealand that didn't make it out to that recording that one time. But I feel like we're constantly talking about him. So he's kind of like the unheard and unseen contributor to this podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, he's he's not a guy that is gonna want attention, but he has the most genuine heart to serve people, and he just loves on people and wants the best for them. So he's a great guy. You need to get him on here.
Yeah, I'm actually I want to do a round 2 with the entire Zealand cast.
Yeah.
Zealand group.
Okay.
You know what would be really cool if you know how occasionally you guys go on kind of your recording day-long trips or whatever it is?
Yeah.
It'd be cool if you guys carved out like an hour during those trips, and I'll just make a quick appearance and we get an insider look at how you guys make music. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, I'd be so down for that, man.
Yeah. But yeah, Ben, I just want to say thank you so much for everything that you do. Just hearing about everything you're going through, man, I really feel for you. My offer to help out in any way I can stands always. So please feel free to reach out. If you ever need anything from the community, from our listeners, I'm more than happy to jump on another podcast, even if it's like a short one, to kind of talk about what you're going through. Always down for that. Thank you for the intro music. I feel like my podcast is becoming more of my own instead of something borrowed, which is kind of what I felt for the longest time. And it actually fulfills kind of the first part of the promise I made in the 2019 recap intro music. And rest assured, listeners, I am working with someone else on the look and logo feel of the podcast. So that is to come. Ben, is there anything else that you're going to talk about that we missed that you wanted to talk about?
No, man, I can't really think of anything.
Yeah, man. But again, this conversation was so good. Gosh, I had no idea. PTs, you guys are.
Yeah.
It's literally a handoff, like for the severe patients who aren't moving for weeks. They're because honestly, right now we don't really even know about the contagiousness of a recovering patient, right? I've even heard stories of people who were already sick with corona have recovered and got COVID-19 again. So we don't even really know what's happening there. So I'm sure you guys are going into it knowing that there is risk. Obviously, because you've pretty much cut yourself off from all your loved ones, family, and friends. So thank you for making that sacrifice. And I'm gonna have to reach out to other PT friends and show them my appreciation as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I really appreciate you know, the support and the encouragement. And yeah, it's been tough, but I know that we're all gonna get through it. Everyone just be safe, be smart, know the guidelines, um, keep social distancing. I think that's so, so important. And for those of you who are staying at home, be grateful and don't don't take this time for granted. I really feel the Lord is working a lot of his ministry through this time.
Mm.
And I think God has really basically carved out this time for anyone who is looking for him or searching for him. And I feel like you have nothing but time for those of you who are staying at home. And for those of you who are staying at home but are going through a tough time, whether it's dealing with depression or anxiety or maybe even abuse, like praying for you guys. And um, just know that we're all going to get through this together. And if you guys don't feel afraid to reach out to a friend or a buddy. Um, but yeah, I feel like I needed to say that um, out there because I know that a lot of people are staying home, but I know that people who are staying home might be going through an even tougher time. So um, yeah, just keep being smart, keep being safe, and we're gonna get through this together. So
Yeah, bro.
yeah,
Hey, man. Thanks so much for that. If you guys are listening, and yeah, like Ben was saying, if you're going through anything and you just need someone to talk to, yeah, I'm always down to talk to people. So please feel free to reach out, whether it's to have a conversation, or if you just have any feedback you want to give us on this episode, or if you want to show Ben your appreciation. Please feel free to send any messages to my email at ihthtpodcast@gmail.com, or through Instagram at I hope to hear this, or on Twitter at IHTHT podcast. And if you want to see the cool little tour that Ben gave us of his basement living situation, check out the video on YouTube. Just search I hope to hear this. And yeah, I'm gonna tag Ben in the photo that I released with this podcast episode. So if you actually want to reach out to him directly and just say thanks, just let him know that you're thinking of him, and just give him some words of encouragement. Please, I encourage you to do that. Yeah, so follow me on Instagram to make sure that you know who to direct those messages to. Yeah. So Ben,
yes,
yeah, Ben, thank you so much for being on, and man, we love you. We're praying for you, man.
I appreciate it. Thanks for
Yeah.
having me on again. You're the man.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.